Today's healthy system is nutrition related, and the topic is why do 92% of dieters fail? We all know people that go on diets, then they brag about losing 10 pounds. They say all of that, and then you look at them, you're like, bro, but looks like you gained it all back. Hello. Welcome to Healthy Systems Podcast. Today's healthy system is nutrition related, and the topic is why do 92% of dieters fail? Okay. We all know people that go on diets, then they brag about losing 10 pounds. They say all of that. And then you look at them, you're like, bro, but looks like you gained it all back because they did, right? So failure in dieting comes down to this one factor, which is you lose the weight, but then you gain it all back and plus more. And they've done studies on this phenomenon where they would put these rats on a really strict diet in a lab, and then they would start feeding them normally, and those rats would actually gain not only the weight they lost, but also more. So this phenomenon is all over nature. And today's in the short episode, I'm going to talk about why this happens, why do most people fail, and why you don't have to be those people, why you can actually beat this statistic. So when it comes to dieting, losing fat, a lot of the time people think it's just strategy around physiology and doing activities, right? But one thing they're all missing is psychology. So you cannot design a good workout nutrition program without taking into account human psychology, and especially the psychology of the person, okay? And human psychology is fascinating because we don't like doing hard things. So if something is too hard and it's complex, your days are numbered. So we have to, one of the things we do really well with our clients is we try to make it as simple as possible, because complexity is the enemy of execution. So oftentimes things look too complex, you're not going to really take action on. Even if you're the most disciplined, the high willpower person I know, your days are numbered. You're going to do it for a couple of days, and then eventually life's going to, get you distracted. So at the end of the day, why do 92% of the people fail? Well, the basic answer is this foundational truth I want you to remember. And I think when I give this example, it will make sense to you. Okay. And that has to do with biochemistry, but also human psychology. So all of us know, almost all of us listening to this probably know that fat loss comes down to caloric deficit, right? Everybody kind of knows that name, caloric deficit. You just have to be in a caloric deficit. A caloric deficit is true, right? Scientifically proven it is good. Makes sense. If you eat more calories than you're burning, you're going to gain weight. If you burn more calories than you're eating, then you're going to lose weight. If you look at it as like money going into your bank account, if you have more money coming into your bank account than you're spending, you're going to have good amount of savings at the end of the month. But if you are spending a lot more money than your monthly income, now you're going to be in debt. And that debt in the fitness fat loss situation, that debt equals fat gain. You're going to have belly fat. You're going to look just fat, right? And the thing is, you actually want to look at why diets work to answer this question. So if you look at all the most popular diets in the world right now, you have keto, you have vegan, you have, Whole30, you have the Oprah Winfrey's diet, you have, this diet or that. There's so many nowadays, and vegan, paleo, vegetarian, blah, blah, blah. And some of these diets, they are religious, and I respect that. They're for those reasons. But I'm just talking about health reasons, right? It's kind of like being at work and during lunch break and your friend Tiffany says, oh, I tried, I went keto for 9 days and I lost 15 pounds, right? Those type of diets I'm talking about. So don't take the religious sense. Oh, Mo, I'm vegetarian due to my religion. Okay, that's an exception. I'm not talking about that. So here, let's dive into keto, right? All of these diets work, and they all work because of caloric deficit. And I'll explain this to you. So keto diet, it works because it takes away all your carbs, almost all of them, and creating that deficit. That means you'll be eating less calories than you're burning. Vegan takes away all your animal protein options. Paleo takes away all the processed food options. You just keep going and going and going. Intermittent fasting takes away the eating window that you can eat in. So then creating that deficit. So all of these diets work because they put you in a caloric deficit. And you have to really understand this, because once you understand this, you won't be tricked by this new diet in the market, this new fad diet that shows up on TikTok. You're like, oh yeah, Coach Mo taught me that all the diets work because of being in a caloric deficit. So Best part is we can create the caloric deficit without going on these extreme diets. Okay. So let me explain. Let's give all of us went to high school, and let's say like in 10th grade cafeteria, like you have, you're in A, B, or C lunch, whatever lunch you had in your school. So your dad, your mom, they tell you that, hey, yep, first day of 10th grade, for lunch, you can only have chicken. You can only have a chicken sandwich and some fries. That's going to be your lunch for the next 3 years. That's what a diet is. Okay. You can only have burger and fries. That's it. Now, when you walk in, you're going to get that on day one, day two, day three. But now think of day 30. Now think of day 300. Now think of day, 600. You're going to be super tired of that. Okay. You're going to be like, I don't want to do this. It's going to feel restrictive. You're going to fight back. And even if you don't want to, your body's not going to want to eat that. Right. Because you've been eating the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you've gotten fed up. So that just seems restrictive, right? That's why you're destined to fail, right? No matter how disciplined you are, how high willpower you are, the statistic says 92% of people fail because they're just expecting to eat the same thing every day. They're expecting to just quit on carbs, for example, in keto's example. But now let's give a different example. Now imagine your dad or your mom gives you $10 and says, hey, you can eat whatever you want in the cafeteria, but you cannot spend more than $10. Okay, so you have to stay within this budget. Don't you feel like a sense of freedom? So now you go in, you grab a little Pop-Tart, but then you also go grab some chocolate milk, and you still have $6 left for the day. So now you're like, you know what? I'm actually gonna get, a beef, patty or like something like that, a cheese sandwich. Now you also have that, and then you can also get something else. Let's say a Gatorade. So now you have all of those, right? And you're still at $9. So you see how much freedom you already have, and now you can swap foods instead of sacrificing things, right? And which one feels more freeing? Which one feels more enjoyable? Which one feels better? So caloric deficit, when you actually track your calories, for example, and actually know how many calories are going in, that's like having that $10 bill instead of following a diet like keto, which says you can only have burger and fries every day for lunch for the rest of your life, right? So this is why when you look at caloric deficit, the foundational understanding and just working from that point on, you're way more likely to win. You're way more likely to stick with it versus being very limited to burger and fries is going to create a problem for you where you're not going to be able to stick with it for a long time. So at the end of the day, caloric deficit is the answer. And you can create a deficit in many different ways. Well, obviously, you can create it through eating less calories than you're burning. But you also can burn more calories. You can, take more, like when you go to work, instead of taking the elevator, you can take the stairs. You can park your car further away. You can do all sorts of things. You can, if you work from home, you can buy a standing desk, and then you can buy a treadmill underneath that desk. You can buy the walking pad, so you can continue to burn calories. So there's so many ways to, put yourself in a caloric deficit. That doesn't mean you having to be super restrictive with your food choices and having to do extreme diets like ketogenic or vegan or vegetarian or paleo or, all of these other ones. And at the end of the day, you'll get the same result. And it doesn't matter how you get the result. As long as you get the result and you had the good time doing it, you will stick with it, right? So imagine there are two people in the water and they're trying to get to the other side of the shore. One person is on a really nice boat and the boat has AC and it's nice and it's enjoyable. And the other person, you being in this example, you're in this like little rowboat and you're having to row as hard as you can. Versus the person B, they're just chilling. They're drinking their like cold beverage and like they're on, they're just like soaking in the sun and just enjoying. And the funny thing is their boat, the big boat they're on is faster too. So they're getting to the other side of the shore faster than you. They haven't broken a sweat and they're just enjoying themselves. It's like a vacation versus you rowing so hard in your little tiny boat in your little tiny kayak, right? At the end of the day, you both got to the other side, but person A got there faster. They had to exert less effort and they can do that trip all day, every day. They can do it 10 times a day and they will never stop because it's enjoyable. Versus you rowing so hard and it's hard and you're like, you don't even want to do it the next day or the day after. Like you already given up because you chose the hardest boat. At the end of the day, as long as you get to the island, no one cares how you got there. And that's it. right? It doesn't matter how you got there. The person A who got there in a nice yacht type situation where they were chilling and their yacht is faster and they got there because they knew somebody versus you rowing so hard and you're like just, hard work at times is overrated, especially in this case. So when it comes to fat loss, when it comes to meal plans, when it comes to like diet plans, what I want you to remember is that your days are almost always limited. If you're following a hard plan, your days are limited. You're going to quit. You're going to be one of those 92% of people. And do not let the survivorship bias, make you feel like you're going to be the 8% that's going to win. If you're following a difficult system, you're not going to make it. Accept that reality. Okay. Your arms are going to give up before your kayak gets to the shore. Okay. Versus the other homie who's just chilling, who's drinking their cold beverage, who's like literally having AC pointed right at them. And they're just having a great time. They're eating some grapes here and there, and they're just enjoying the view, right? They're watching the dolphins swim nearby. Like, it's just beautiful for them. They're enjoying it. They can do that trip 90,000 times versus you're going to be tired after the first time. So who do you think has a longer runway? They do. You don't. And it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get to the other side. So always think about, like, that's how I want you to think about diets, okay? I want you to think that if something is too hard, coach, I won't be able to stick with this. And it's reality, right? So my job, when I work with clients, my job is to make it easy for them to stick to. Because if it's easier to do, you'll stick with it forever. So I hope that makes sense. If you have further questions, if you want more episodes on nutrition and caloric deficit, etc., just drop a message to me on Instagram or even on YouTube. I see the comments. And I would love to create more content like this. But until then, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Systems podcast. I really appreciate you for tuning in today. Now, here are 2 ways I can help you for free. One, you can join our free Facebook community by just going to this link, bit.ly/Titan Facebook group. Just type that into your browser and then answer 2 questions, and then we'll let you into our Facebook community where you'll meet other people, as well as we have a lot of free resources in terms of meal plans, workouts, all kinds of stuff in there. Second way I can help you for free is if you follow me on Instagram at Moe Ghias, MOE, G as in George, H as in horse, I as in India, A as in apple, S as in Sam. Follow me there and then shoot me a message with the word Healthy Systems, and then I'll be sure to send you a free gift. Other than that, keep listening in, and I really appreciate you.